Hello and welcome to Greeting Star. I'd like to ask you to take a moment to like and subscribe and visit my blog at greetingstar.org and check out my ebook. Today we'll be making an Easter card with 3 Distress Oxide inks here in Fired Brick, and I'm just going to take the ink pad directly to the paper here. It's a lot of fun to do this technique, I think, and these Distress Oxide inks are just so pretty and chalky. And this here is the fossilized amber that I'm using, and in a moment I'm going to use the spiced marmalade in the middle. But you can see here that they have a really beautiful chalky look to them. When they dry, they do dry a little bit. The vibrancy tones down a little bit once they're dry, but still leaves a very beautiful impression. So now here's the spiced marmalade, and I'm just going to use my finger to blur the lines between those colors. So this is a fairly simple, easy card to make. It's a lot of fun. I don't know about you, but I always love getting my fingers into the ink. I think that's so much fun. So I'm using this beautiful stamp set from May Made It, and it's a 3 steps to this stamp. So the first stamp will lay down, I think, the leaves, and you can see that here. Now, if you can see the sort of white impression of the cross, that's because I was playing around with some water. Distress Oxide inks are famous for using water techniques with, but I didn't like the effect, so I just decided to go in with some Versa Fine black ink here. So you can see the first stamp there laid down the leaves, and now here are some flowers. And then once I'm finished with that, the third stamp will give us some more flowers. And then there are also some fillers that I put in a little bit later. But before I do that, I go ahead and I'm going to be using some gel pens to color in these flowers to give it some more color there. So I'm done stamping with those 3 stamps, and I do trim it up about a 1/4 inch on both sides and the top and the bottom, and that way I can, when I adhere it to the card base, I can put a background paper on it. I can mat it. So I'm taking, these are Moonlight by Sakura markers. There's some gel pens, not markers, sorry. And I'm just coloring in with a couple different colors here. The first one here is looks kind of like a hot pink. I don't know what the color is, but I will link my products down below for whatever I can find for you to make it easier for you. So I'm just coloring this in here, and when I color with gel pens, I usually like to use like a circular motion. I find that the ink comes out better that way. And these were kind of some small spaces here on these flowers, but that's what's great about the gel ink. It just kind of comes out and fills in all those spaces up for you. Now, I did refer back to the original stamp to see which flowers, because I wanted to keep the colors coordinated, because I'm going to use a different color for the flowers that are on the second stamp, just to give it a little more variety. Still pink, but a different shade of pink that I'm using here. So I'm going over all of these flowers that are on that second stamp. So I just needed a reference to remember which stamps go with which. And then for the leaves, I'm going to use this green color. And when I'm done with that, I'll pick a bright green to go and touch up some of the centers of the flowers. So I used a total of 4 different colors of gel ink on the flowers and leaves for this card. And I think it turned out really, really pretty. So there's that bright green that I'm using for the centers of the flowers, and I think that really made a big difference. I like it a lot. This makes the flowers, the little tiny flowers, stand out. So I don't know whether you don't necessarily have to use the gel. You could use any markers that you have. Now, this is another stamp set by May Made It, and it has the He Is Risen greeting that I was looking for. So I just go ahead and get out my precision press, put that in there, and I'm going to stamp with it VersaFine mark for the He Is Risen greeting. VersaFine ink is very, very, very inky, and I find that whenever I want a real crisp, clear image with the black ink, that's the ink that I choose. I just really like it for that particular purpose. So now I'm going to use a piece of black cardstock to mat it, and then a piece of pink cardstock for the card base. Now these are the filler stamps that I was telling you about. This looks like a little star, and I'm just going in and filling in any areas that I feel kind of look a little empty. And I use a star here, and the second one is just a little dot. And that's it. And that's all I decided to do with that. And you're done. So quick and easy, beautiful Easter card. So thank you for joining me today. And before you leave, I do have a scripture for you. The scripture is, Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, though he may die, he shall live. And whoever lives and believes in me shall never die. Do you believe this? John 11:25-26 from the New King James Version. Well, I hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for joining me. God bless.